Hey everybody, this is Evan. I'm the bass teacher for Ocean's Edge University. And today I just wanted to talk about useful things to bring to whether you're going to a gig or going to a church service. So first, I think the most obvious and yet not so obvious items are your bass and a bass amp. So there are some churches that have bass amps and even bass guitars in some cases available. I would think as far as your bass guitar goes, it's never a wise decision to depend on the church's bass. You're always going to want to bring your own anyways. But as far as the amps go, again, the churches I've been at, they will ask me to just plug directly into the house, directly into a DI. And so I haven't had to bring my amp in a while. And for you going to a new gig or church, it might be beneficial to ask whether or not you should be bringing your own amp, or whether they have one for you, or that you just don't need it at all. Next up is going to be a bass toolkit. So I like to use this Ernie Ball Musician's Toolkit. When you're at these gigs, it is always beneficial, in case you have an accident with your instrument, to have tools available to be able to better work on your bass. You might get there and realize that your intonation is way off. You might get there and realize, even if you're daring enough, that your truss rod is not where you want it to be. And so this kit comes with all those tools to better handle it. If you break a string, there's some cool things for changing strings in here. So I think it's always good to have like a little tool kit, or at least a couple of tools geared towards your bass on you at all times. Next is going to be a tuner pedal. I like to use these Stompbox pedals. I know a lot of people have been using the headstock tuners. But I like using these Stompbox ones to mute my bass when I tune. You might forget with a headstock unit and not have your volume all the way down and start tuning, and it just starts blaring through the house. So I like, again, being able to mute. In order to use these pedals, we're also going to need a 9-volt energy source, a little power thing. You can use regular 9-volt batteries for these pedals as well, but you're always then going to be guessing, when is my battery going to die? Is it okay if I leave this thing on, muting my bass the whole time? So I think it's a better decision to have like one of these little energy sources instead. Though I'm also not going to shy away from saying to carry 9-volt batteries, because for a lot of you these days, you have an active bass, and your active bass runs on a 9-volt battery. So for me, my bass definitely does, and so I have batteries and the 9-volt power sources on me at all times. And also that toolkit is going to come in handy for taking off the back plate if you don't have one of those little battery compartments that pops out. Next is an extra strap. I know it might be weird to be like, why do I need 2 straps? Well, sometimes you might realize that extra strap is your only strap because you forgot your other one, or you left it in a different case. So it's good to always think about having an extra one just sitting in your case, just in case you need to let someone else use it, or you realize you didn't have the one that you thought you had. Next, we have in-ears. I have some in-ear headphones here. Not all churches have upgraded to using in-ear systems. Some still use 4 wedges, but it's great in this day and age to start carrying them, to be prepared, because you don't know whether or not your church is going to have it. And so I always have mine. At my churches, we do use the in-ear monitors. And they're relatively cheap. You can spend a lot more money on high-end ones like Ultimate Ears. They do like whole moldings to your ears. These ones here were probably around like $50. You can look on Amazon for them. Next is we have some extra cables here. I, as a rule, like to keep at least 2 1/4 inches on me. I've been to plenty of places where there was none available, and so I always assume, how many do I need to operate without hoping there's going to be any there? So I usually keep 2. That helps run through my tuner here on both sides, and that's usually all I need. I mean, if you really want to be extra safe, you can take 3, but 2 has gotten me through. And I think That's about it as far as regular things to bring. Oh, well, there's also having extra strings, of course. For a guitar player, you would say, no duh. I gotta have extra strings in case I break one. For bass players, based off our play style, we might not break strings very often. We might not really think about needing extra strings, but you never know. Accidents happen. And so it would be good to have extra strings in case one does break, or if you're going wild and you end up breaking your string. As far as extra credit goes, I think also bringing a power strip and bringing a DI box would be wise. These are things that when I go to gigs, typically the sound engineer is overseeing them. But just in case, if you never really know, it could be something you keep in your trunk. It's good to have your own power source. Extra credit is bringing an extension cable in case you have to run that power from somewhere far. I know your bass bag's going to get a little heavy at this point. You might want to bring an extra bag with that too. But yeah, these are just things that, again, I've learned are wise to have when you're going out to either a church or a gig. It's great to get there and know that you are self-sufficient and not have to be running around asking people for certain things.